Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is our From Baddie to Saved podcast. I am Jaleesa Aaliyah, of course, and this is episode 8. Today it's not going to be about the baddie stuff, it's about life in general, because I feel like some people need kind of a reminder in life that you always start somewhere and you must always acknowledge where you started, and I feel like I have failed to do that recently. This all began from a word that I received in church last week, and the pastor said it's not over and to stay on the wheel. And he was giving words of encouragement to people that feel like giving up, and I don't think I'm giving up. I don't feel like I'm giving up, but I've had moments where I'm just like, why am I doing this? What is this for? And yeah, it inspired me to come and speak about the importance of never giving up. For me, it's very important that I never ever give up in life, no matter what comes my way, because I never had the silver spoon. Okay, I never had a trust fund. I never had anything that was beyond my imagination happen in my life. As in, like, I was very limited with resources, for lack of better term. I come from a low income household, and that meant that I grew up in a house that was 1 bedroom, and my mom had 4 children in a 1-bedroom house. And you're probably thinking, how does that work in a 1-bedroom house? So my mom had the main bedroom, and the living room was my bedroom. And I may have spoken about this before, I'm not really sure. So yeah, my mom had the bedroom and the living room was my bedroom. So instead of having the regular things in a living room, like a sofa, a coffee table, things like that, there was no room for that because I grew up with a bunk bed. And yeah, so when me and my brother got too old to stay in her room, we had to sleep in the living room in a bunk bed. And then when my brother got old enough, he left the house. Well, didn't leave, he got kicked out, but yeah. And then that meant that I could have my own bed. But before that occurred, my mom had another baby, and I ended up sharing with that child too. So that younger child used to sleep above me, and eventually that child got older and he needed his own bed, and then he moved to his own bed. And from there I decided I didn't want to have a bunk bed anymore. So when I had money, so this is like after secondary school, college days, yeah, this is college days, I'm still on a bunk bed with my brother in college. When I had money to buy things, I bought us a bed, myself one and I bought him one. So we still had to sleep in the same room, but we had separate beds. And my mom had another child, which was the 4th, and he had to sleep with my mom, of course. So everybody started sleeping with my mom. When they got older, they moved on to the next room. So eventually, those two became older, and we were overcrowded, and the house was full of damp, like so bad, like the walls would be black in the corners. And I had asthma, so it wasn't good for me. And yeah, it was deep-rooted damp that was in the bricks. Like, the council came, they redecorated and gave us false hope to feel like, oh yeah, we got a brand new home. It's all fresh, because we complained. And then it just comes back. And it came back even worse. I remember my carpet in my living room would be wet. Like, literally, if you walked around with no shoes on, your foot would be wet because it would be damp. Like, that's how bad the house was. And we also had a house that you live under somebody, and she was a nightmare. Like, my neighbor was an absolute nightmare. She would constantly play music at dumb o'clock and just torment us, and it was just not nice. I remember her, causing fights with my mom and threatening to harm her at my door and causing us misery by, telling us that she's going to bring a man to do us something. So it was just hell. It was hell. And on top of that, my mom was not in a position to afford it, so essentially facing getting kicked out. Sorry, this is quite deep. I've never shared this with anybody. But yeah, we was going to get kicked out, and I remember like the pressure being on me, and it wasn't by my mom. It was just naturally, that's how I felt. I was like, I need to figure out how to get out of this, because my mom held it together for so long, and then she cracked, and I was like, what's going on? What's wrong? And she told me literally we had 2 weeks to move out. And I remember like my heart sunk, everything sunk, because I was like, I'm trying to work and I'm trying to pursue my dreams in life, and at the same time we're going through hell. And yeah, I was able to help her by asking for help in other ways, but that also had a negative effect, because now that person felt like they had hold over her and they could treat her anyhow because she asked for help. From there, I remember being in school and I told my teacher that I would love to be a journalist or something like that, and he was like to me, no, I was in college, and he was like to me, oh, that's not possible. I was like, why is it not possible? It's like, because you have to achieve all these qualifications and it's hard to basically achieve. And I was thinking, are you looking at me as a black young girl from a, deprived background and saying that it's not possible? Or are you just saying that because of my skin? Like, I didn't understand, because also he was a teacher of a media studies foundation course, because I had missed one of my GCSEs and I needed something to replace that before I could go on to my A-levels that I had chosen. So I had to do for 1 year a foundation course. So that's the only reason why I was in his class at the time. And I feel like maybe because I was in a foundation course, he thought I didn't have the ability to do that. And I just remember how that made me feel, and how it made me go home and search up the requirements to work in that field. And I wrote them down and I said I would achieve it, because how can we be having a discussion in class about our ambitions and then I tell you and you're fast to tell me that's not possible? Like, what? Also, like, you're a teacher, you're meant to uplift the students, you're meant to support us, but instead he was doing the opposite. And I'm not going to say it was a race thing, because he was a white man, but it's just like, I don't know what brought that on him to talk that into me that day, but I remember going home and fighting it, and I was like, no, I'm going to achieve all that it says I have to do. I say all this because, I have gone through many things. I have seen many things because of the house I lived in, and it never made me lose hope. It never made me think that I would forever stay in that house. It never made me think that there was no way out. It never made me think that I couldn't achieve things, because in that same 1-bedroom house, when I left college, what did I do? I went and did an apprenticeship in journalism. I did exactly what he told me I couldn't do, and that job was fun. I got to meet the cast of Adulthood, and I was able to interview them and ask them questions, and it was fun. Like, I was a proper lead person in front of the camera, asking questions, interviewing. I would be sent on the streets of central London with a mic and a camera and have to interview people for all the categories on the website. So if it was about sports, I would have sports questions. If it was about fashion, I would answer them about their trends and what they love and what they shop for, those type of things. Like, it was really fun. And then when I would get back to the office, I would get to edit, do the voices and match with the video, like sync in, and everything was fun. Like, it's literally what I do today for myself in regards to my YouTube, in regards to my TikTok, in regards to my Instagram, in regards to this podcast. Like, it's literally things and skills that I've learned from that job. And I can't lie, it didn't end well. I never got to complete my apprenticeship. I never got my certificate as a journalist because I was so young and naive to the world of working, and I didn't know the wrongs and rights of work, and I didn't know that when someone treats you like badly, that you should report it and do something about it. So I just went home one day after being mistreated because I was sent out on the roads to interview, I think it was like 20 people. That's what she gave me. My manager gave me the task of interviewing 20 people. And this day, I remember it rained. And you know what that's like, guys. If you've ever gone out and the weather was okay, then it starts raining and you're shopping, like you've got bags and you're going to and from every different shop and you're in central London. Most likely 10 times out of 10, if someone approaches you and asks you questions and wants to interview you in that condition, you are going to say no. Okay, it's blatant. So it was like a setup. And also, I only worked with 2 other people in that office because she was a startup company. Like, the company wasn't known yet. She just had connections and she wanted to use the young brains that was me and 2 other girls to do the work and make her famous, like her brand famous, basically. And that day I was out in the roads and it was raining and I was trying to record, and I got like 4 or 5 people, and because she gave us a set time, let's say like 12:30, she gave us a set time, so I had to make my way back to the office regardless of not achieving 20, right? And I went there and I sat in that office and I told her, look, I only got these amount of people because of the weather and these type of things. And she just looked me in my soul and said, are you making excuses for why you failed the task? And I was like, pardon? Like, I'm a young person, I'm straight out of college, and that was my first ever job. So I'm like, huh? Like, a teacher's never spoken to me like that, so why is my manager talking to me like that, So I was like, huh? She was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you this. If I go out there and do exactly what I told you to do and succeed, we're gonna need to have a conversation, like a serious conversation. And I was like, what? Like, okay. I was like, the weather is crazy. People don't want to talk. Like, it was so serious. I'm in Marble Arch, guys. Like, Marble Arch. In the middle of the roads, trying to talk to people in the rain. Like, what? So yeah, she goes out and she does the same thing she gave us to do. Same exact task. And she does not travel to Marble Arch. She travels to a local area around the workplace, which was Notting Hill. It was Ladbroke Grove, to be exact. And she comes back, and what does she have, guys? What does she have? 20 successful interviews. I'm just like, what? I don't understand. Also, by then, the rain had changed from raining to like spitting. It's still coming down, but it's spitting. It's not the same, and you're not in the same location. So her achievement doesn't add up to what we and my team went through trying to do that in a more busier, chaotic area. So she came back and she was like, you know what, I feel like you don't take your job serious, because I was able to do it just like that. For this reason, I'm going to extend your probation. Like, I was meant to, you know, when you start a job and they tell you you're on probation period, and after that mark you get to like get paid a higher wage or something like that. I was on like the regular living wage at the time. It was like £5 something an hour. I think it was meant to go to like £8, something like that, 8, 7, something like that. Yeah, she was like, I'm gonna extend the probationary period by an extra 2 months. And I was like, nah, this woman's rude. Like, I worked so hard, I've been doing everything right, but today I did one thing that didn't bang, and now I'm being punished. So I went home that day and I told my mum, I was like, look, this is what she's doing and I don't understand it. And I was like, no, that don't sound right. Like, that don't sound right. Long story short, we got into it again at some point, and she was just like, I'm letting you go. And I was like, okay, let me go, because I don't benefit here. Like, I loved the job and the idea of my job, and I loved certain aspects because I got to meet actual people in the industry. But other than that, you were treating us wrong. Like, even her own, like, an adult male friend she had that she brought in because he had the equipment. Like, he had the Canon camera, he had the lights, he had everything, he had the software to edit on. He was being used in her company, and she was being rude to him to the point where he quit. So imagine what she was doing to us fresh out of college. Like, we had no say, we were children to her. So yeah, that was my first ever work, like real work, paid job experience in life. And I can't lie, after that I didn't try again. I did have some interviews with the BBC, and at the time I was very anxious as a child, as a young adult. So a lot of BBC, like the actual BBC interviews are consisted of large group of people, and they have to like be split into groups and do challenges, like do large group activities to prove your skills in a team. And then after that round, you would have to go to the one-to-one interview, and I would ace my one-to-one interview because I knew how to speak. But I could never shine in groups because it would overwhelm me, overstimulate me, and I would just be like, you lot are doing too much, like you're talking too much. And not just that, I would be able to contribute like my brain to the group, and when it came to like giving back to the people, like showing how we worked as a team, those people were still all of the thoughts I gave them. And I would be sitting there like, okay, well now I have nothing to say because I did not know you were plotting and trying to claim that as yours. So yeah, that's how that was going for me. And I never got a job in the industry. I only got work experience again after that because I did an internship that trained you to like do coding and making websites and things like that. And at the end I was able to do a 2-week work experience with a advertising company called Fold 7 in Farringdon. And yeah, that was really fun. Like, it was a proper establishment, like really amazing to see. They had my own spot on the table with my own MacBook. It was crazy. Like, out of college, it was crazy for me because I was like, I have my own company MacBook, and you know, I'm working with advertisement companies. They're, you know, showing me upcoming adverts and asking me to make presentations on ideas that they can make. And I was like, what? Like, I'm really giving you my brain skills here. Like, my creativity is coming through. I was so excited. Like, we had work moments out together. Like, we ate as a group sometimes in these posh restaurants, and we had lunches. We had a company card that they would give me, and they would write down all their orders, and I would have to go out and get it. And they would be like, oh yeah, and get yourself something. I'm like, oh, no budget, just anything I want, okay. Like, it was pressure to recite everybody's order correctly. Like, bro, it was hard. But I was thinking, yeah, like, this is what you have to do. Like, make people tea. Do the small things. Sit at my desk and come up with ideas and share them. That's what I was doing, hoping that one day I'll get to be the one, like, really doing something. And like I said, it was a fun experience. I went to sound studios with them in the Addison Lees, and I went on locations. Like, I was there, I was a part of it, but I just was not able to do any of the work. Like, I just did the basics, the background stuff, and yeah, I had a really fun time, and it really inspired me for things that I can do in the future, right? But like I said, I never got a job from it. And after that, I was kind of pressured because I was now older. I couldn't just sit at home wasting away. I had to do something, and all of my friends went to university and I didn't, because I thought that the apprenticeship would bang and I would have a steady job. But like I said, it didn't go that way, and I tried in different avenues, and it didn't land me any kind of position. So eventually I just was like, I need money. So I started working in retail, and eventually from retail I was able to fund my lifestyle. I was able to go on holidays. I was able to get myself any and everything I want regarding clothing, hair, anything that made me me. I was able to contribute to anything that anybody needed. I would contribute to, because I learned to really calculate my money wisely. I learned to always have more than enough, and I was never somebody that lacked anything. But with that mindset, I didn't really value anything. Like, I just worked so hard because I knew I lacked so much growing up, and I could see it around me. Even though we never suffered, like, we never had no times of not eating food, it was just like, wasn't the greatest level of life, right? And I'm grateful for that, of course, because it motivates me and it makes me know that I deserve more, I want more, and I don't just want it for myself, I want it for all of my people. And if it means it has to come from me by working for myself, by going on a harder journey, I'm willing to do that. Like, I'm very, very willing to do that, because like I said, I came from humble beginnings. So of course, being an adult, I want more for myself. I want so much more for myself. So I don't take it to heart, but I get really irritated when people act like they know me, or act like they understand me, or think that they know how I feel, or can tell me why I act the way I act because of where I come from. And it's just like, no, you don't even know my background like that. Even in school, sometimes my friends would come to my house and I would want them to stay at the door. Like, let's be honest, I would want them to stay at the door, because I never wanted them to walk in my house and see the setup of a basic house and a 1-bedroom. Like, you're not going to enter my door and think that you're going to my room. You're going to go to a living room with a bunk bed in it, and you're going to be thinking, this is a bit of a struggle, isn't it? But you got to go with the cards you're dealt, right? And you can't live in depression because of the cards you're dealt. And in no way is my mom a bad person for that setup. She's a strong person, if anything, because she got us through it, and we're in a proper house today. It just gives me so much drive and determination to never fail in life. And that's why, even though I've been dealt such horrible cards at times, I've never changed, and I've never let that enemy win, because they don't even know that before they even came in my life, I was already battling things. I was already going through things. I've already been training to be strong. So there's nothing you enemies can do to me to keep me down, bro. I'm gonna always I don't know where the bro came from. Sorry, I'm from South, innit? But I'm always going to win. Like, no L will stay a L in my life. And yeah, I just wanted to share that word today with you guys, because it's so easy to just settle for what is in your life, right? And I remember even having a conversation with somebody, and I don't know what was said, but I had to tell him, like, just because I'm from somewhere doesn't mean I'm a product of my environment. Like, just because I grew up in South London doesn't mean I'm gonna have the mentality of a South London person that is just settling for bare minimum. No, I'm not that person. And I'm also not a bragger to be on some, I'ma do this, I'ma do that. You don't need to know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do it. And when I do it, it will shock you because you doubted me, right? So yeah, like, I don't like when people have an opinion on me like that and are free to just express that, because it's not legit, it's not real. And just because you ask me, oh, where you from? And I say I'm from South, you're gonna tell me, like, your mentality is limited. No, because if that was the case for me, many things would have kept me at a stagnant state of life. And I haven't reached millionaire status yet, but girls and guys, I'm gonna have a blessed life regardless. Like, I'm gonna have a blessed life, and I'm happy for that, and I'm grateful for that, and I know that, and no weapon formed against me shall ever prosper. Okay, so yeah, that's it for today. If you're feeling low, or you're feeling like setback after setback, trying to accomplish things, and it just keeps on giving you a bad outcome, as my church said, it's not over, and stay on the wheel, okay? Because life can change in a blink of an eye, just how we can be living today and gone tomorrow. You gotta keep going. You gotta take that setback and be like, what did I learn from that? What went wrong? Let's do it better this time. That's the mindset you gotta have. And that's what I live by. Like, no matter what comes my way, no matter the outcome, I'm gonna make a better one out of it. If it ended in a sad way, I'm gonna make it a better one for myself. And I want you to do that too, guys. I want you to take everything that has been given to you and turn it into a positive. Don't let it be a negative, because that's how you end up in the space of not breaking generational curses, because maybe the person before you, your mom, her mom, that person, they lived a certain life and they got given certain cards, and they stuck with those, they sat with those cards and didn't do anything about it because they couldn't see the way out, or they couldn't see better for themselves. So, as their offspring, as the child that they birthed, you gotta be that person that does better, that proves everybody wrong, that no, just because it happened with this and that person, it's not gonna happen with me. It ends with me. Okay, right, thank you for listening, guys. That was episode 8. If you would like to share your story, please email me your story. The email will be on the screen. If you're listening by audio, the email will be on my Spotify page. Please look out for that, or my social media platforms. I'll have the email in the bio so that you can share your story. Thank you so much for listening, and that is all for today.